Episode 198 of the Follow-tonians Live. Eric here in Overland Park, Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool. It's the end of the 2014-2015 season, Ped.
It certainly is, Eric. It's been a journey I've been waiting to end since about December, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yep. Yeah, it was nice that we went on a lovely little run in the March-April period, just to, put any doubts in the back of our minds away as far as what's going to happen in a negative sense. So I guess that's about the only positive from the season is, Ped, we didn't get relegated.
Yay!
Isn't that just something amazing to look forward to every year?
I'd sort of forgotten how that feeling went, to be perfectly honest with you. Having that relief of not being relegated is not a feeling I've associated with for a good number of years now, and I thought it was something that we were way past it. But let's be honest, we were pretty far away in the end. Although, some of the teams at the bottom, like Leicester, went on their little run, and you just think if we hadn't have put those wins together, as you mentioned there, after the Stoke defeat, then it would have looked a little bit more uncertain. But
yeah, I mean, never would have imagined about that December, that mark in the season where you wanted the season over. Newcastle looked like they were just sitting pretty. They were doing fine. Everything's chugging along, and it comes down to them and Hull on the last day.
Yeah, I mean that's something we actually spoke about around February time. How easy it is to just be sucked into that relegation area, and you take your eye off the ball and you think you're safe, or you don't quite realise. I think that the term that was used most commonly was sleepwalking, basically just a culmination of a defeat and another defeat and another defeat, and before you know it, you are part of the pack, and then before you know it, other teams are winning around you because they've got the momentum, and
yep.
We spoke about that early on the season, around January, February time, and said that that's where we were and that's what was happening, and if something didn't change, we could find ourselves easily there. And I think, I've said that the Stoke game was probably one of the lowest moments I've had supporting Everton for a very long time. I was embarrassed that night. I was embarrassed by the performance. It was so poor, but it also felt like a team that was so disjointed, and a team that didn't really seem to care much for the club or the manager. And that's when I was really, really starting to ask questions of it all at that time, because I just felt like, I don't know, I thought before that we were pretty bad, and yet we'd fallen into that position where when was rock bottom, because it looked like rock bottom had already been hit, but yet that Stoke game, it happened again. But I suppose after that game, Roberto Martinez referred to it in the interview we did last week with him. After that game, things started to change. After Kiev, I think he more referenced, but probably that game, things had to change, and it was about winning. It didn't matter how those wins came. It was about winning. So we went on and got the wins we needed, and I hate to say we stayed up comfortably, because that shouldn't be a term that a club like Everton ever uses. Never mind anymore. It should just be a term that a club like Everton never used. Stayed up comfortably.
Right.
So to me, it's a very, very poor season. You can put as much shine on it as you want. It's a very, very poor season from where I'm sitting, for a whole different amount of reasons.
So we recently got to sit down with you. No, you and
you were there in spirit, Eric. You were there in spirit.
You and about 7 or 8 other Everton fan sites got to sit down with Roberto Martinez again This was third time um, since he joined Everton 2 years ago, and he just did a season wrap up, and there were a couple of just interesting things that to take away from that.
Yes, they were. Would you like me to go into more detail?
If you'd like, I mean, just the talk about the preseason is something that we were saying all along, how there really wasn't that much of a preseason. A lot of excuses went towards the World Cup, but it was just like the team never really had a moment where, okay, season started, let's go.
Yeah, it was hard. Again, something we've mentioned all season, something I've been particularly critical of was the pre-season. You don't need to be a football expert. You don't need to be a fitness expert. You don't need to be an expert of anything really to know that the pre-season was very, very poor. It didn't test the players. It didn't seem to involve much prolonged fitness work. Now I know there's a new school of thought that is you don't need to flog your players. Let me just categorize that. In the old days, a pre-season, and I'm talking up to about 10 years ago, maybe even less. Some clubs will still do this. A pre-season for the first maybe 3 weeks didn't even involve a ball. It involved running till you were sick, and then running more, and then running more, and running more, and it was just work. And it wasn't even in training grounds. It was managers would take their players out, and still do, to beaches, to sand dunes, to we've got an area in Liverpool called Camp Hill, which is in the Hunts Cross Walton area, and it's a big playing field on that slopes up on a big hill, and I think it was David Moyes particularly used to go there, take the players there, and have them running up this hill continuously. I mean, we've all seen people training where they're inside maybe a sports stadium or something, or where they're running up the steps, running steps, and that's what he had them doing, and that was seen as the old-fashioned way. And in fact, David Moyes had a structure built at Finch Farm, which was like a non-slip staircase of different gradients and different height levels of steps, and he had it purposely built. It was placed next to one of the walls, and he would have the players running up on it. It was it was about getting the players supremely fit. Now, some people think that's an archaic way of getting players fit, because they don't. Because one reason is it's because it's almost like counterproductive. Like, you're going to get your players in such a bad state that it's going to be unhealthy for them. But the other reason, and I think this is more what Roberto Martinez looks at, is that those attributes don't actually affect the part of your body that you need playing football, i.e.
hamstrings.
But if you need to be fit running with a ball, then you should run with a ball to get fit. And also, fitness has changed as well, because in the old days, the players would stop playing football, have 6 weeks off, and come back 2 stone heavier. So those 3 weeks were probably about getting that 2 stone off the players. Yeah. So, but now they go away with a training program, and don't forget, there's still like internationals coming up and things like that. So players have got to tick over.
Oh yeah.
And they'll come back maybe not as fit, but they would still be, the same condition physically, i.e. the weight, the body fat, that kind of thing. So a lot of that's not needed. But very long story short, our players just didn't seem to have that last summer. There was no kind of fitness whatsoever physically. There was no stamina. There was that none of that was there. Roberto Martinez has said he likes to sort of push his players gradually so that they peak at the right time. But that's nonsense because football is a sport, that starts on the first day of the season. So,
Right.
What you do on the first day of the season affects you on the last day of the season. What happens in the first month of the season affects you. If Chelsea had gone out and lost the first 4 games because they weren't fit, they probably wouldn't have won the league.
Right.
That's football. That's what football is. Everyone at the beginning is on like an even keel. So you've got to take advantage of that at the start. Whereas at the end of the season, clubs are at different places. You've seen like the likes of teams like West Ham who were comfortable where they are and go into games from March onwards not really caring. And that's where teams like Leicester, who are at the bottom of the table, start picking up points because they're playing teams that may not have as much to play for as them. So, but that doesn't count for the first month. For the first month, it's every team is battling, and that's one of the things we completely got wrong. So Roberto Martinez says he got it wrong, or it was wrong. But
Yeah.
he said that there was no way he could have been any different because of the World Cup, etc., etc., etc. Now I think it could have been different because I think the games we played were very, very poor. And the other thing about it is as well, and this is something that is really it's annoying me. It annoys me about football is when clubs go on tours to foreign countries, whether it be America, Australia, the Far East, anywhere, they are generally getting invited because it's all going to get paid for by someone. So if someone in America doesn't pick up the phone and say to Everton, listen, I want you to come out here, play a series of games and we'll pay you X amount, that shouldn't dictate your pre-season.
Right.
Playing really poor games against teams that shouldn't be. David Moyes, again, I referred to David Moyes because David Moyes had lesser players, but he had them so much more fitter because he knew they had to be fitter to make up the ground. And that's what you've seen in the Premier League now. A lot of teams who've got a lot less skill than Everton have, but they are fitter than Everton, and it's helped them come towards the end of the season. You only have to look at teams like Crystal Palace, who in the last 3 or 4 months just look so much more fitter. Tottenham, last game of the season, looks so much more fitter than Everton.
Yeah.
But David Moyes, he just got Everton and he took them to America, and he said these are the best facilities, and this is where I'm going to get our players really, really fit. And that's where he picked up, Steve Detache in America, a brilliant conditioning trainer. That's where he picked them up because he's seen how well, he basically hired him for a couple of weeks, seen how well he did with the team, and brought him back because he liked them so much. And he did that off his own back. Now, Everton shouldn't need, for me, someone to pay for them to go somewhere to get the best facilities. Everton should just go, we are going to go abroad to the best facilities possible and train really, really hard here. Now, if we can pick up a couple of games in that area, brilliant. I'm sure if Everton said, we're going to fly to America, we'll get in touch with a couple of MLS teams, I'm sure those MLS teams will be happy to play Everton in a friendly or two. You look at the likes of teams like Stoke. That's the kind of thing that they do. I'm sure no one's paying for Stoke megabucks to take them to the States. It's just that they probably feel that's where the best condition.
I don't know. Jeff Cameron is a pretty big draw over here.
Well, we did have Tim Howard and we didn't play him.
The best keeper.
Yeah, we didn't play him against Philadelphia.
In like within 10 minutes of his home.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were a little bit annoyed about that.
It's kind of upsetting. No, but that's not football. That's PR, and that's a completely different podcast.
Yeah, that's a completely different problem. But that's what I'm saying. Everton shouldn't be waiting for someone to pay them to go somewhere to get fit. Everton should just say, we need to go somewhere to get fit, and if the best facilities are in America, then let's go to America.
Well, now the club did go to the Middle East mid-season, and after that little period of training and rejuvenation, they did have an upturn. So,
and again, you are right what you say there. I mean, I don't think Qatar is somewhere where you want to be going in the summer to play, train,
A World Cup or something, maybe.
Let me just wait. Qatar's not really somewhere you want to go in the summer to train. It's very, very hot, and God forbid,
or even in December.
God forbid any kind of football tournament ever gets played. Yeah, God forbid that ever happens. But so pre-season wise, I think we got it completely wrong. I think we were quite lazy about the whole thing. I think he should have just picked up all those players, took them away to train in the best conditions possible. Not one game against Leicester City in Thailand. No, I'm sorry.
Right. What is like a week or 2 weeks before the open of the Premier League against Leicester?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Right.
No, you've got to go where the best facilities are, regardless who's paying for them. You've got to be professional and do that kind of thing.
It would be helpful sometimes.
I think that's where Roberto Martinez got it very, very wrong. And I think
how disheartening were the first 2 matches? Well, first 3 matches, but more so the first 2 matches of the season, having leads going into the late minutes of each match and conceding an equalizer, going from possibly 6 points to 2.
Again, Roberto Martinez said on the interview that was a kick in the teeth, and that was they took them as defeats, and it just put everyone on a massive downer. And I remember being at the Leicester game and 2-1 up for the whole second half, Lift just cruising, passing and not really caring. I remember the first game of the season so clearly, just passing, not really trying to score, not really trying to do anything. And then about 10 minutes to go, Leicester suddenly just went, hang on, these are not actually trying to score. It's only 2-1. If we have a go at them, something might happen.
Yeah.
So last 10 minutes of the game, first game of the season, players weren't fit. What happens? We fall to bits. They get a very, very lucky goal.
And almost get a winner.
For a guy who, for about 10 days later, went on loan and was never seen again.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then the week after, 2-0 up, cruising against Arsenal, absolutely cruising. Then just went to sleep.
That felt like so great, that whole match up until conceding the first goal, up 2-0. It was just like, okay, yep, these are the side that we think we should be. They should be able to do this every week against a side like Arsenal, against a side that has the class and the talent, and we're completely bossing that entire match until it falls apart.
Yeah, and that was the thing about the Arsenal game. We dropped off again the last 15-20 minutes, and we invited them on, and they went and capitalised on it twice and nearly got a winner at the end. And and then we played Chelsea, and you look at it again, and it's the same again. We never looked fit, we never looked good enough. We were scoring goals, but we were conceding goals because we just looked so. Well, again, we started the season with John Stones not playing centre half and Distan playing, and
who
you could see pretty early on the season where it was going, and you could see
but towards the end of last season and even the build up to the World Cup, thinking Stones might get into the England side, it was pretty obvious to me, and I'll speak for everybody else that has ever listened to the podcast, that we made it pretty clear that Distan was not the answer moving forward in our center back situation. Mm-hmm. It was Stones and it was Jags, and it was that pairing that was what needed to be anchoring our defense moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the big problems early on. It was Distan and Jagielka just never clicked, and Distan he never looked on it at all. He fell off really, really quick. I think we spoke about many times over the last is it 5 years now, this podcast? It is like 5 years now, isn't it?
Yeah, we just finished. This 5th season is in the books, Ped.
Yeah. We've said so many times how players just go. They just go. There's no sort of like there's no downward spiral. They just go. I mean, I remember it happening with Neville, and I just thought straight away, he's gone and he's not coming back, and you better, and one of my biggest issues with Moyes in his last season was that he never spotted Neville was finished. And what the ironic thing was, Phil's brother Gary, he went literally in one game and announced his retirement that week because it was like I know I've gone and I'm not coming back. So it was so obvious, and we just we never got it right those first 3 games. I mean, conceding 6 against Chelsea were just horrific.
Yeah, we get healthy 2-0 at West Brom. Then we.
By the way, we're not going through every game one by one. By the way, we're just a general sense of the early part of the season. But what I would say about that game was against West Brom was that was the first game Jags and Stones were back together. That was their first game. They played together at the heart of defence, and that showed. Straight away, first clean sheet of the season. The fans have been crying out for it, and then only a few days later we started the Europa League, against Wolfsburg. Jags and Stones are at the heart of it again, and we beat a team that have ended up one of the best teams in Europe, 4-1. And they only really scored from a wonder free kick towards the end.
Yeah, that was really nice, but our goals were pretty nice in that match too. And then it turns crap again. And then we go over to Anfield, and Jags wonder strike late to equalize, and I mean, amazing goal.
Yeah, but what I would say is, don't forget as well, we played. The Europa League games, they were the most important. It did seem like the Europa League was the most important thing, and we had strong teams out all week, every time, and we played Palace a few days later, and again Stones was out. Distan was back in. Stones, I think, had picked up an injury. Sorry, he hadn't picked up. It was Distan. I think it was Distan, Jags, and Stones. I think Stones was playing right back. Sorry.
Yeah.
So again,
Seamus had a hamstring.
Yeah. So it was Distan and Jags again, and that's how it was all season. Pretty much the early part of the season, it was like you get every time you got Stones and Jags, they were fine, and then we got to the Man United game. Stones gets that injury and finds himself out for 4 months, and and then it was just one of those seasons, and again September was just one of those months. West Brom, great. Wolfsburg, great. Then Palace. Swansea was just such a low point. It was the League Cup, and the team was horrendous, and we were in the middle of a bit of a injury epidemic, and there was we
didn't care at all about that match.
No, we didn't care, and the derby was coming up, and it was just a very raw time of the season. Nothing was fitting together. Players were getting injured or playing out of position. Nothing was clicking. Players didn't look fit. It was such a hard time of the season, and then we obviously played Liverpool and Jags against a very poor Liverpool side. Jags obviously gets us out of trouble at the end, and then we've got to go to Krasnodar and we get a draw.
I still don't know where that's at.
It's somewhere, and then we go to Old Trafford and actually play really, really well. And wonder saves. Baines misses a penalty, for God's sake, and then wonder saves from their keeper. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, I'll never know how we saved that Oviedo shot. I'll never know.
That I mean, Lukaku had like point blank, and just
it's just mad. It's just mad. It's just the whole season. I mean, we're completely forgetting as well. Barkley being out at this point as well, and. He'd been out. He gets injured just before the beginning of the season. Everyone's thinking he's going to have this wonder season. He's been out. But then he comes back against Aston Villa. Has a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Playing in his position.
Played out of his head.
And then again, it's like you don't see the best of him for the rest of the season. It was just mad. The whole season was mad. Again, a couple of week later we go to Burnley, and Etu's just has this wonder game.
Who?
And then,
who's that?
And then 2 months later, he's not even at the club.
Etu played for Everton? When?
Yeah, I know.
So weird.
I called that too.
He didn't win, like Europa League? or Champions League at one point.
He's done something in
And
his career.
he's done a bunch of other things.
He
And
probably doesn't even know who Everton are anymore. He
I
probably doesn't even remember his time at Everton now. He's just like, that was probably just, did I do that thing? Burnley? Who were Burnley? Burnley? But
Burnley.
it was just a whole, that first half of the season. It was just one thing to another. You were just I don't know. No, I mean, November looks like it was a great month. A draw against Swansea, we beat Lille 3-0, we drew at Sunderland, we beat West Ham. Wolfsburg was absolutely amazing, just an amazing game, an amazing trip for myself. And then we go to Spurs on the final, the final weekend of the month, and just blow it, absolutely blow it. And then we're struggling again. Then it's just we play Hull in the week and we drew 1-1 and. I am literally going through every game here, by the way.
Yeah, it's fine. We're going.
We get into December. We get in December. We play QPR. That game against QPR, obviously Ross scores that wonder goal, and then fans start booing the players up doing back passes, like that was the low point. And then suddenly, if you think
how horrible were QPR this year?
But then you think that's a low point, and then we play Southampton. We don't make a sub and get beat 3-0. Play Stoke on Boxing Day.
Lose 1-0.
Lose 1-0.
At home.
Horrendous defender by James McCarthy. We go to
Newcastle and lose 3-2.
Some guy called Coney turns up and scores.
Yeah.
Then we go to Hull New Year's Day, and it's just like Hull New Year's Day. It's Hull.
Was that probably the worst holiday period in Everton's history?
I've never known. The closest I've ever known a Christmas period like that was I think it was 93 going into 94, and we freefalled. We just freefalled. I think if I remember, Howard Kendall left the club early in December. I'm thinking of the top of my head now, so I've got the facts wrong. And then I think Jimmy Gabriel took over for the Christmas period, and I think we lost basically all of them. And then Mike Walker came in, and it just went from bad to worse.
Right.
I remember his first game was against Bolton in the FA Cup. We drew 1-1. Paul Rideout scored. Again, I think I was at this game. And then we lose the replay 3-2. After being 2-0 up, it was just horrendous. And then that's the season we ended up staying up. Last day of the season, and this was always my fear, that you run into a bad sort of period, a cluster of games where you lose all of them, and suddenly you go from maybe being in the top half of the table to scrapping around the bottom. And if you think about it, at that point we were still waiting for our season to kick in, and it was so strange because we were doing so well in the Europa League. We'd beat Wolfsburg home and away. We'd beat Lille at home comfortably. We got beat by Krasnodar, but it was kids at home.
It was already decided. It wasn't like there was anything needed from that.
Yeah, and then it was just ridiculous because then you're waiting for the Europa League to start again. But it didn't really. Okay. January after the game against Hull, it was sort of like a month of draws, and I think we won against Palace towards the end of the month, and we obviously went out the FA Cup, which was a big disappointment after playing so well with 10 men as well for an hour, and ended up going out on pens. That was really so disappointing. It was again nothing was fitting together. Players were coming in and out of the team. Tim Howard's form was horrendous for most of the season. That was horrible. That was horrible for fans. Fans turning on each other. American fans getting the brunt of a lot of that.
I blame you, Pep.
But he was absolutely crap, and I've got
He was not good. Not good enough.
I've got no issues saying that. Whether that he can use the excuse of a World Cup hangover or whatever.
It has nothing to do with his country of origin.
You said that, but he was crap.
I do say that. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was American. He was just not good enough.
There you go. And the mad thing is, Robles comes in and he plays. He was fantastic against West Ham. He was fantastic
against
against Crystal Palace away. Do you know, we haven't even touched on the West Brom Kevin Morales penalty debacle. You know, the things like that.
Right.
Those things like we're splitting the fans from the manager and splitting
I've
the
got it
fans from
written
the
down. We've
They were
got
splitting
categories coming up later on in the show.
But they were splitting the fans. The fans were getting split from the manager, and he wasn't saying the right things, and players were starting to take really taking it out on certain players and things like that. You know, again, going back to Robles, though, you know, he plays really well. He played well in the derby, and then we go to play Chelsea away, and suddenly Tim Howard finds himself back in the team, and
Yeah.
it was just a whole those things just split the fans in half, and as I say, alienated.
Well, he got drop ped for injury, not for performance. So whenever he was fit, the manager puts him back in.
Well, you are right. You are right what you're saying, but that would have been a really
whether or not he needed to be dropped for performance.
Well, he should have been. I think he should have been, because I think he was awful, and I think Robles proved himself. But
Star jumps are awesome, Ped.
Star jumps, yeah. Mr. Starbursts. More like Mr. Skittles. Everything
and
he touches.
then we get into the knockout stages of Europa League, and we completely just own the Young Boys away.
Please don't say we owned Young Boys. That people could take that in a very, very different, wrong way.
I didn't say we groomed them.
No, I said you said we own them. That's sort of like the same thing.
Maybe.
Plastic pitches rule, by the way.
Yes. Absolutely.
That was like one of our finest football performances, was on a plastic pitch.
Kiev.
Look, listen. We play Young Boys. In between Young Boys, we got the game against Leicester, where we were absolutely terrible again.
Yeah,
we go to Arsenal. We go to Arsenal. We were terrible. They were there for the taking, and we were terrible.
Worse.
And then we go to Stoke.
Did we play worse against Arsenal or Stoke?
No, Stoke was, for me, as
Worse.
I mentioned before, it was literally one of the worst Everton low points ever.
Last minute penalty against Kiev to get the lead at home. The lead at home.
But Kiev up for half an hour. We continued to be absolutely terrible, and then there was sort of like a change on the. Again, there was a change. Fans started getting really annoyed and angry, and I think I think it was a couple of Naismith started to get I think Naismith definitely felt the anger in the crowd and thought, I need to sort of start going around doing things, and he did. Bless his little cotton socks. He did start getting angry and start affecting things, and we end up winning the game 2-1. Very unlucky not to win the game 3-1, which may have seen us go through. We played Newcastle on the Sunday, and we destroyed. And that was their first game of that long run towards the end of the season, where I think they lost like 8
We almost started it. Almost got it to where they went.
So we go into the Kiev game, and.
Are we going to talk about every match?
No, I'm just going to. We're 2-1 up. 2-1 up. We need a game plan, and for me, the game plan would be playing on the break, which he sort of tried to do by playing Atsu and obviously having Atsu in there, and obviously he's got Lukaku in there.
Oh yeah, Atsu came back from the African Cup of Nations.
Which was like
player of the tournament.
Player of the tournament. But we had, at Atsu, we had Barkley flying.
So mad.
I know.
It's just so weird.
But we had Naismith playing as well, so we've got like a proper front four of Barkley, Atsu, Naismith, Lukaku, and basically we had Gareth Barry, the old man, and McCarthy, who had only just come back from that injury, basically chasing about 4 midfielders while all the rest of them just stood up front.
That doesn't sound like a very good idea to me.
It doesn't really help. And we just literally threw it away. We threw the whole game away. Okay, they get a goal in the 21st minute. We respond quite quickly with Lukaku.
Yeah.
And then sort of we just had to bunker in then and get to half time, and we would have been 3-2 up at that point with the away goal, and we just need to bed in, and we don't. We just go all stupid and concede 2 goals before half time, go really kamikaze, and literally, and we all knew the problem was. It was Alcaraz, and we all knew that, and he was basically he was only in the team because he got man of the match against Newcastle, who we were utter crap. I mean, I don't understand if we got man of the match against Newcastle because they were awful. Stones was on the bench, so for me, Stones should have come back in. That's the best partnership, and we needed the best partnership on the night.
It was obvious to us, Ped.
It was obvious at half time. It was obvious. He somehow managed to play the whole game, even though he was absolutely dire.
Right.
And
long balls over the top straight to Alcaraz was definitely our Achilles heel.
Yeah, and and even when they scored those 2 goals, we only needed to go and get another goal very quick and sort of try and we just had to be calm and clever and get another goal, and we just never did that, and we go and concede another goal, and okay, we got one back towards the end, but
all right, no, and then at that point
awful,
the season
awful.
Yeah.
But that's what Roberto Martinez said.
Pretty much over.
And Roberto Martinez said that was like the day the music died. Yeah. He said that was like all the players felt like they could win it, and
Buddy Holly and Richie Valens down in an airplane.
In the dressing room, he said that was it, and that was at the point where he decided that it was all going to be about wins from then on. The team was just going to go and win. They were just going to go and win games. Didn't matter how. Now, this is a conversation they should have had maybe in August.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
Just go and win games.
Yeah, and so they did, except for the Villa match.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah. But it was a good run, QPR, even though we were rubbish, Southampton, even though we were rubbish.
Well, QPR like I said, it was horrible this year.
Yeah. Burnley, even though we were rubbish.
They were still just worse.
Yeah, Man United game were all clicked in, and then May was pretty rubbish. May we played 4 games and lost 3. It was just crap. It was just crappity crap. The whole season was just crap. It was just a really, really rubbish season, and I'm really happy it's gone, and we can look forward to the next season because it was crap. It was very crap.
Yeah.
So anyway,
on that note, let's take a break. We'll be right back. 36 minutes of awesomeness. Love it. That was fun. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Crap.
And now let's get into our best and worst of the year. Let's bring it back. Here we go.
Okay.
And we're back on Follow-tonians, brought to you by Abscess Services Limited for the last time this year. Big thanks to Abscess Services for sponsoring the show for the season. Greatly appreciated, fellas. And ladies.
Commercial overlords, you gotta love them.
Yep. And they help pay the bills, Ped. Or a bill, anyways.
The Wolfsburg bill.
Right. All right. So we've gone through every single match in great detail.
Basically, we have. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's go into even more detail, and I've got some categories here. Best match of the year for you, Ped.
For me, it is Wolfsburg away. For me, just
because you were there.
Because I was there, and because of the experience, and because it was just watching European football away, especially in Germany, is just it's just such. It's very hard to describe how good that is. You get number one, you get treated like an adult, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But by being treated like an adult,
and you can drink.
Yeah, and by being treated like an adult, you can act like a child, which is again fantastic. But it's just a brilliant experience. That's what I love about European games and Europa League games is that you get to go to these places that you may have never been to. You may see places that you wouldn't have never sort of gone to anyway. And going to Amsterdam and then Hanover and then Wolfsburg and then going back, it was really really
you
good.
Didn't go to Lille, Ped. That's all I know.
Yeah, I'd still have
they would have shot rubber bullets at your ginger behind.
They would have definitely.
Yep.
But it's just brilliant, and the game itself was fantastic. It was okay. We rode our luck, but we played on the counter attack. We played to our strengths, and it really worked. And I've said all season, Everton are at their best when they play on the counter attack. Not all this tip tap stuff. When we play on the counter attack, that's when we're at our best, and that was That was for me the best game of the season.
Yep. Just because I was sitting at my local and it was full of Man United fans, I liked the 3-0 win at home against Man United. That was pretty good for me this year. Uh, not nothing much other than that to talk about.
But again, though, Eric, that was a game where we played on the counter attack
Yep.
and we let Manchester United have the ball, and it worked. And it worked last season when we played them, and it worked last season when we played Arsenal.
Maybe we
And
should try and do that a little more next year, Pat.
I would agree. I think we are more suited to playing on the counter attack. Players that it suits playing on the counter attack.
Right.
I know when you even think about like when we played Young Boys away, we played on the counter attack.
Yeah.
It just suits our game so much more. We've got players with pace. We've got Lukaku up front who loves running at people with the ball, and it just suits the way we play. And I just don't understand why we don't play it more. So yeah, again, that was
negative
definitely
football.
that was definitely my favourite Premier League game, the Man United game, which is not really hard because most games were crap.
Worst match?
Take your pick.
Stoke home?
No, Stoke away
away?
Was for me the lowest point of the season. It was horrendous. So
Sunderland home?
No, because I think at that point we
flip flops and didn't care.
We were safe, and it didn't really seem to matter at that point, and I'd really sort of lost all feeling in it. So, but Stoke was after the Stoke game, I generally thought
Hull away.
I thought we could get relegated. The whole game I was angry, but the Stoke game I was really, really worried. I generally thought we could be relegated after that game. I generally thought we're not getting up off the floor. But luckily enough, our next game was Newcastle. So if anyone's ever going to give you the chance to get off the canvas, it's going to be Newcastle. And luckily we did, and that's where we hit a bit of a purple patch. But no, the Stoke game was just horrendous. But this has been a season of general horrendousness. We've beaten 15 times in the Premier League. It's been crap. It's been really, really bad.
Best penalty made by Everton.
Best penalty made.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Best penalty that we scored on. What most meaningful, best well taken?
I have no idea. Where did you spring that one from?
I've got a list of categories here, man. So I've got to do.
What are you gonna like? Is your next one gonna be best throw-in taken or something?
Maybe. Corner kick.
Best penalty. I've got no idea.
I'm gonna throw.
I know the best penalty missed.
Well, hold on a second. I have to do the best before I can do the worst.
There's so many random questions at me that I've got no idea what you're talking about. Best penalty, Lukaku against somebody. No, one that was meaningful.
Yeah, that's most valuable, best, whatever. Yeah. No. Okay. Worst penalty of the year. And I've got 4 nominations. No, actually, 4 nominations. I've got Robles in the cup.
Blah, blah.
I've got Baines at Man United. I've got Morales' give me the ball. I'm going to take this thing and shank it to the left. And then I've got Barkley's did I accidentally forget to kick this thing?
Morales' because we really needed a win that night, and we never won.
Right.
2, because he picked the ball up and acted like a child and stormed past 3 players and then misses it. He went off at half-time. The manager said it was phenomenal, or probably some words like that. And it made us look like absolute dicks in the press. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There's lots of reasons.
Yeah. Worst goal conceded.
I was going to swear then, because worst goal conceded again. You've sprung these on me. We didn't even talk about these. You've just literally sprung them on me, and I'm trying to go sieve through 9 months of crap. I don't know really. I'd say which was an absolute shocking one was, I think, Kiev's second one, because it was our corner, and they somehow scored from our corner. They got the ball on the edge of the area, because if you watch it again, James McCarthy pulls out of a shot. The lad knocks it past him. It gets to the halfway line on our left. He somehow gets through Alcaraz
that's pretty
and
easy.
Baines, and then ends
Baines
up.
fell over.
And it somehow got from our corner to a goal within about 12 seconds, with about 4 of our players falling over like absolute idiots. So that would be pretty high up there. Crystal Palace at home, and Leicester at home. Tim Howard jumping for the ball, having at least an extra 2 foot advantage over the players, and yet somehow missed both of them and let the player score or knock it down into it, or whatever. Yeah, and the one where he palmed it out like an idiot against Leicester. Yeah, all of them.
I would say all of them, or any of the 3 that Villa scored against us in the last away match. Those were all pretty horrible. Goal of the year. Is it anything other than Jags in the away derby?
Not many. I can't think of any other. Not many other goals. Some of the goals in the Europa League were pretty special. The Wolfsburg at home, I think the Baines crossing it and Coleman putting it in, and Coleman's goal against Young Boys was pretty good. Just like more team goals. Eto'o's against Burnley. I mean,
Eto'o's against Krasnodar.
Watching Eto'o score like that in an Everton shirt, and then watching
Eto'o almost getting a hat trick, but hitting the post.
Oh man!
And then almost hitting the other post, and
and then like literally just thinking, this is so good. I'm just going to stand here and watch it, and if he just run over, he could have tapped it in. Was this one against Krasnodar? Didn't Hibbert cross to him?
I believe. Why not?
Or was it? I don't know. No, I think it was actually might have been McGeady actually.
It was McGeady.
I don't know.
But the fact that there was a pass completed in a European match from Hibbert
Tony Hibbert.
to Eto'o.
Tony Hibbert, yeah. Tony Hibbert passing to Eto'o is officially my moment of the season, just because Tony Hibbert passed to Eto'o.
Right, in a European match that meant something.
Eto'o
awesome.
played for Everton. It's amazing.
Yep,
amazing.
He did. He was.
Yeah, his goal against Burnley was pretty. Actually, both goals against Burnley were absolutely amazing. The header was just.
That's the thing that really just gets me. Is because if he wasn't such a cancer.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't listen. I wouldn't go
allegedly.
It might have just been a growth.
Maybe tumor. It's not a tumor.
I don't know. It was just.
It's not a tumor.
When early on in the season, when he was getting used. When he was getting used right in the early part of the season, and he was playing alongside Lukaku, especially in that Burnley game, he was amazing. I mean, the header against Burnley was fantastic. His second goal was absolutely just phenomenal, to use a Martinez. And then Martinez kept on bringing him on in centre midfield.
Every year, every podcast next year, I'm going to charge you with saying phenomenal at least once.
But then Martinez kept on playing him centre midfield, bringing him on at centre midfield, like almost like he was so good he could like pick the passes up, which he could. But every time he brought him on, his role and his effect become more diminished every time. So
there were a couple of passes Eto'o made this year that nobody else on Everton
nobody could have seen him. And don't forget his pass for Ozzy to score the winner.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking about.
He literally smashed it into Ozzy. So Ozzy, all they have to do is get it in on the direction, and it was in goal. And anyone else probably would have just slid that across, and it would have been hard. But it was. You just think, and it's dead easy to go, oh, Eto'o was rubbish, but
right. It was a pass, but it was pretty much a shot, knowing that if anybody just touches it, it's going in, and just put it right in the way.
when you think about it, Eto was just such a wasted opportunity. And I know I'm probably seeing
I
this in
know.
like in rose tinted glasses, but when those first few games when he was playing around Lukaku and he was getting like used in certain games and they were using him in a really good way. It seemed to work, and then Roberto Martinez sort of somewhere decided that Naismith was actually better than him. And when you think back, that was just a really really ridiculous decision because his role become more and more diminished, and we don't know if that's because of what went on off the pitch.
Internal dressing room
We
struggles,
don't know that for a fact, but
allegedly.
like you think about Man United, he didn't even bring him on when we were getting beat 2-1, and you just think there's so many games where he could have made a difference, and it's just I don't know.
It could have been a contender.
I wanna just
Could have
remember him
been
as
somebody.
I do want to remember him as someone who scored goals for Everton. I mean, Samuel Eto'o scored goals for Everton. You know, I
Right,
think
you'll
he's
be
still
able to say that, and it's just
I
so
still,
weird.
I think he probably still finished with more goals than
Right,
some other players who play for other teams, notably Liverpool. But
right.
Eto'o, man.
Yep. Worst player of the year, most disappointing player of the year.
Uh, the worst player is Tim Howard. I don't care what anyone says. Tim Howard cost us more points this season than anyone else, and I don't care. Come at me, America. I don't care. He was absolutely.
Don't taste me, bro.
Just come at me. Come at me. I don't care. He was awful. He was absolutely awful. And I've sort of made peace with it. I've sort of made peace with it now. Roberto Martinez said he's not buying a new goalkeeper, so he's not buying a new goalkeeper. And if that looks like a terrible decision next season, then I'll voice those opinions next season. But as it stands at the moment, that's what Roberto Martinez says. So he says Tim Howard was done over by the World Cup and struggled and is now back, and we've got another goalie on the bench who can challenge him. Well, fair enough. So if Tim Howard does start falling behind, then I expect Joe Robles to go in. But for me, don't forget as well, Tim Howard in that World Cup, against whichever way you want, whatever anyone wants to say about Belgium, he was an absolute star for those 3 months. And first game of the season, Everton USA had a big thing for him, and he was crap. He was officially the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League this season, officially, because of the mistakes he made. And
according to
I've said it, and I've said it all season, and I'll say it. You look at the saves someone like De Gea made. He kept Manchester United afloat for the first part of the season with some of the saves he made.
I mean, even look at Southampton and where they're at because their keeper.
Yeah, but Man United especially, because you can talk about anyone else, but Man United are the yardstick. For the first half of the season, they were crap. And they had you look at some of the players they were having to play in their back four. They were playing kids, and their keeper was getting them through games. He was winning them. I would say De Gea won Man United at least 15 points this season, if not more. And I think he's the difference between. Don't forget, Man United finished with less points this season than we did last season, and they got a Champions League place out of it. And I think he got them a hell of a lot of
pad.
One second.
You good?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I would say that De Gea got Manchester United a good lot of those points and got them into the Champions League, and that's the difference between a good goalkeeper or a goalkeeper in form than a goalkeeper's not in form. I think that is the difference. That's what a goalkeeper can do for you. You can keep your team afloat when you are having bad spells. And whenever we're having bad spells this season, the goalkeeper was just as bad. And a lot of people have said to me this season, oh, well, everyone was crap, or because they're crap, he's crap. No. If a goalkeeper should be at his best when the rest of the team is crap, because that's when he's getting tested more. It's very easy for a goalkeeper to go through a season. Everyone goes, wasn't the goalie great? And you're like, yeah, but actually the defence was great, so he wasn't tested that much.
Right.
Tim Howard, for me, this season was just dire. And he's going to start next season, and he'll start as number one, and I won't be sort of castigating him or saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'll wait and see, because the manager said he's number one. So if he's number one, he's number one. I can't argue with that, and I can't demand or say anything that we need a new goalkeeper.
Yep.
He said he's number one, and I will go along with him. But this season, he was utter crap.
Good blue you. Yeah. Stick by your manager. I appreciate that.
He said it, so I'm just gonna do it. I can't get angry. He said it. He's gonna live or die by these decisions. So.
All right, player of the year. I agree with you with Tim Howard. By the way, it was worse.
Player this season is a very it's a difficult one. This, and I'm gonna let you go first.
To me, I would go with McCarthy. I thought he was the most important, valuable player for us.
Even though we missed so many games.
Even though he missed so many games, because we were utter crap without him.
That is actually a good reason for him to be player of the season, because we were awful without him.
We were, and that's maybe. And there's like different things, best player of the year, most valuable player. I mean, he might not have been the best player, start to finish every match, but he was the most valuable player to our side, because without him, we were horrible.
By default.
And of all of the other players that picked up hamstrings and were injured and stuff, he was pretty much the only player that we could not replace and maintain a standard. So that's why he's my player of the year.
I like your thinking.
What do you think?
I like your thinking. That's clever thinking. That's thinking outside the box. That's thinking outside the box. Way over there somewhere. On that token,
must have been my American. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. Mentality.
By that token, then our player of the year was that physio we got rid of last summer, Steve Datash. He was our most valuable player because he wasn't here, and all of our players got injured. See that again? I don't know. It's hard on it. It is probably Phil Jagielka because he was consistent.
Sure. Safe,
but then again,
easy.
Yeah,
go out on a limb there, Ped.
Well, it is, but then you got, see, it's a weird one because
I stole your thunder on this one.
Some people would say
you want to say McCarthy now, don't you?
No, I don't. No, I'm not. I'm going to actually talk about people who are on the pitch. Lukaku, you know what? Some people would say Lukaku, I think, as well, because and other people say, "What are you talking about?" But for a player to get 20 goals, okay, they win all league goals, but to someone to end up joint
leading goal scorer in
Europe,
Europa League, not Champions League, but
no,
Europa League.
And to score Premier League goals in such a crap team. I think Lukaku's done very, very well this season. I think he's still got so much more to learn.
Yes.
And if you were to ask if this is the same Lukaku,
there's a couple of matches where he started like actually bowling through people and started using his physicality, and that's where he was at his best.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If he had a season like this in 5 years' time, then I would just say it's an average season. He does need to get better and better, but I think he's had a successful. Some people won't see it that way. Some people will go, no, he was rubbish. But I think he's had a good season.
The striker is kind of the opposite of the keeper mentality that you're talking about. Is whenever your defense is horrible, you have to step up and be great. But if you're surrounded by people that are substandard, it's really hard to elevate your contributions as a striker on your own.
Well, there's
you need help. There's only so much you can do on your own.
Well, I think that's what separates good players from world-class players. I think world-class players, it doesn't matter actually.
Like Morales missing a wide-open one in the last match of the year.
Yeah, well, he's certainly not world-class.
Oh.
But I think that's what actually separates a world-class player from a good player. I think good players need the team around them. I think world-class players can just do it on their own.
Just touched it across to Lukaku and he would have just walked it in.
You look at someone like Suarez last season at Liverpool. He was
Make other people around him better.
He was making that team. he was doing things from nothing and making the team so much better. And I think that is generally the difference between a world class player and a decent player. But it's hard. John Stones I thought was fantastic. Got his injuries
Lots of injuries.
His injuries probably really set him back. So John Stones has probably got a shout for it as well. But you know there aren't many more. You can really look at and go, you've had a fantastic season.
Gareth Barry with all of his bookings. I mean,
He got us out to the Europa League.
Yeah, Fair Play League. They should just label that the anti-Gareth Barry League.
I'd also give an honourable mention to Leon Osman as well, because again another player who first half of the season
never really. Naismith.
Well, just shut up and let me talk, will you, man? 5 years, Alec. I've had enough of you now. I'd say Osman first half of the season, for some reason, Martinez just never really used him. He was preferring Barkley and Naismith on the left, and both of them were
niggly injuries,
crappity crap. No, but they were playing both of them were playing on the left. He said last week in the interview he just couldn't replace Pienaar and didn't realise how important Pienaar was till he lost him. And he played, and they were both terrible. And Osman was getting injuries, and then obviously he got the injury I think against Manchester City, and we didn't see him. But when Osman came back later on and went on that left, it did click, and that helped sort of the run of results. That got us our safety. So I'd give him an honourable mention. But by the same token, again, I've said all season we need to get that left-hand side sorted. And Roberto Martinez has said he'd love to get Pienaar back fit. Well, let's be honest, the chances to get Pienaar back fit and getting him back to the player he was are slight and remote. So we need to fill that left-hand side. I think that's a massive priority to get that sorted, because we just don't work without it. And we need to get someone out there who's almost got an old head on young shoulders. We need a player who's got the brains and the intelligence of a Pienaar and Osman, but in a young body that can up and down and can actually run fast and can actually kick balls hard than a small child. So,
right.
There you go.
So you've got honorable mention Leon Osman. I'm going to mention a name we haven't mentioned yet all podcasts as my honorable mention, and it's kind of odd to say this because it's only a second half player, and Aaron Lennon, who came into the squad and did a fantastic job of just putting in a shift. He grafted and did what he needed to do to make it to where he was automatically selected. And he was putting players with skill like Kevin Morales out of this and Aidan McGeady out of the side.
Did you just say skill and Aidan McGeady in the same sentence?
There might have been a sarcasm flag there, Ped.
Sorry, there must have been some lag on the line. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but I was very impressed with Aaron Lennon. $8 million. I think we need to figure out how to get him in a blue shirt.
Gerard Deulofeu.
He's
magic, you know. I'm not starting any rumors, but.
All right. I think we'll take a little bit of a break again. We'll be right back.
He's magic, you know.
All right. Let's wrap this up.
Crappity crap.
Well, it is crappity crap.
Crappity crap.
Sorry, editing real quick on the fly while I can. Before I lose the place where you went Robotnik. All right. All right, last segment of the season, Ped. Uh, it just wasn't good enough this year. So, what needs to improve? What do we need to do to make 2015, 2016 a happier time for all us Blue Noses?
Right. Well, there are quite a number of things, but
Keep it short. We've gone really long already.
it's the end of the season. You can listen in
Nobody's
stages.
listening to this
Listen,
anyway.
listen. I've got bottled up, anger because we haven't done a podcast in 8 years because of someone tiling his bleeding bathroom. So less of the back chat. You're only doing it now because you're waiting for the grout to dry.
Right. I got to go put up some trim later. I got to nail some wood.
I think what's got to happen. I think what's got to happen. In all seriousness, I think what's got to happen is we've got to put down good foundations, and that happens in pre-season.
And sometimes you got to gut stuff to the studs to do it.
Players must be flogged within an inch of their life, to be fair. Players have got to get fit, and no excuses this summer. I'm none of this peaking at the right time nonsense. I want to see serious pre-season.
You know what the right time to peak is? First match of the year.
Yeah. Well, it's not. But,
and then don't let it drop.
No, professional sportsmen should just play an even keel most of the season. But okay, they're going over to Singapore to play 2 games. First against Stoke, second against either against Arsenal or 11 dudes from a bar. I don't know. I really don't know. They're going up to Scotland to play. I don't know whether they're going to how many, if they're playing games or it's just a fitness camp. I'm not sure. And I don't know. So they're playing one at Goodison as well. So, but forget about all that. The players have got to be tested, proper fitness, flogged. Whether that means bringing in another fitness coach, I don't know. A proper specialist, I don't know. Maybe just for pre-season, I don't know. But they need to be fitter because last season they weren't fitter. That's the ground rules. Again, what else?
There's a non-league team across the Mersey that might get a match.
No, they just kick lumps out of us every time we play them. Obviously, buys are very important. Now he's ruled out getting a goalkeeper. Okay. He has said that we're going to obviously Alcaraz.
We've also ruled out keeping Alcaraz.
Alcaraz gone. Distan gone. So there's 2 centre backs. So whether that be a Browning coming through or I don't know.
Which I liked whenever we got to see him.
Yeah, he looked like
he could do the job.
But you would like to probably see another centre-back come into the club of some kind of experience. So maybe a 28, 29-year-old seasoned centre-back who can come in and his Premier League experience and can give you that backup. I think that's definitely needed. It could have
been Rio Ferdinand, but he's retired.
I think, to be honest, I think you're about 6 years too old. But no, I think we need someone around 28, 29 of Premier League experience who can be seen as a backup, but can push, and then have a couple of youngsters, whether it be Brown and Galloway, on the edges. He said he wants a winger, so obviously there's the option of Lennon. But Lennon, if you're talking £9 million for a player who in 6 months' time you could probably get for, I don't know, a couple of £1 million in his last 6 months, is that really worth it?
Do you think we could Tottenham for Aaron Lennon?
I think Aaron Lennon would probably be willing to hang around for an extra 5 months, 6 months at Tottenham to come to Everton and get a better contract probably as well. I think he'd be willing to do that. And if you went out and bought
Pinar him.
Loan, maybe you could go and loan. You could go and loan Delafeu, let's say. And then you've got cover there as well. So that's an option as well. I don't think Seville are very keen on keeping him. And I think the only thing that would be stopping him coming back to Everton is Barcelona's transfer blockage. Yeah, it's that might. But again,
I'm sure they can get around it.
Neymar, Messi, Suarez, Pedro. Is he getting in that team? I don't think so. I don't think he's very good for a
Er,
player who struggled to get in a player who struggled to get in Seville's team this season, who wasn't even on the bench for the Europa League Cup final, is going to be knocking on the door of Barcelona's team.
but he had his kid on, Ped.
I don't think he's getting anywhere near that personally. So I think he could be an option. As I mentioned, the left side needs addressing. Now, whether it be a left side number 10, I suggested Nolito could be a possible signing to Roberto Martinez, where he heeds my advice. I'm not so sure. Another centre back who I'd also look at is Indigo Martinez, who plays for David Moyes' side. So that might be interesting if we went and asked David
Maybe
Moyes.
a sweetheart deal in there.
Yeah, they can have anyone they want. Basically, we don't want. But they're the ways we've got to improve the team. But as I say, I think getting off to a good start, being fit, and also learning from this season, the way we've played at times. It's too slow. It's far too slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like.
And I heard we've got a number 9 coming into the squad this year that's going to be fit, and that's Kone. This player named Kone. He's supposed to be pretty good, according to the manager.
Yeah. Moving on.
He mentioned. I'm just saying he mentioned it in the interview that he's looking for big things from Aruna Kone. I don't know if he's thinking those big things is like a camel.
I don't know.
Or
I know. Again, I'm trying not to criticise the manager too much. I'm letting him. If he doesn't want a striker, on his head be it. If he said Kone's going to come back fit, and
so who do we have to replace Barry? Because Barry is obviously slow.
I think he thinks next season you're going to get a lot more out of Besic. I think he thinks.
Okay.
I think he clearly doesn't see Ross Barkley now as a number 10.
Holding midfielder?
He's not a holding midfielder. He just sees him as a midfielder who can play midfield. Because they used to exist in times gone past.
It's interesting.
Midfielders didn't get
strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, midfielders didn't get labelled. They were just central midfielders. They weren't attacking midfielders or holding midfielders or passing midfielders. They were just midfielders because actually they could do all those things. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. Those players now.
Utility.
Those players now are just seen as world beaters, but in the old days they were just called central midfielders. And I think he just sees Ross as a central midfielder, a player who can do all things. But what he's looking for in number 10 is a player who can actually thread the ball through the eye of a needle.
Kind of like an Eto player, sort of.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Not the bad vibes. But he's looking for a player who can.
Allegedly.
He can look for those. He wants a player in a number 10 who can see those passes that no one else can see. That's what he wants, and I think Ross just doesn't see those passes quickly enough. He just doesn't see them, and I think Gibson actually is a player who does see those kind of passes, but he's been a glass.
He also sees the inside of a doctor's office.
Yeah, quite a lot as well. So, but you've seen the difference when Gibson was in the team and he was playing those passes. It's mad when you've got a player who's a really good passer. Yeah. They can. The game just gets quickened up because they can cut out 3 passes when only one's needed. We've seen that when he came on against Leicester, how well he did doing that. But he's clearly not fit enough and just never will be.
I want to see more of McCarthy getting forward. Making runs through Lukaku. Yeah,
definitely.
Midfielders. I want to see more of that.
Midfielders that go pass forwards, they're always good. They were a thing from the past as well. They were called Lampard and Kale.
Yeah, and Lennon did that, and I think Lennon and Coleman towards the last couple of matches really started to figure out how to work together. I really just liked Aaron Lennon in an Everton shirt. I want to see that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
That left wing, we've got to figure out someone to work in front of Baines.
It's got to be Barnes. There's definitely got to be balance over there. It's almost like we have all the pace on the right and all the cleverness on the left. And it was weird because we used to be. There was a stage when they used to say, "Stop Everton's left," and you stop them, and then we started playing on the right, and then the same thing was said, and then last season we started using both, and then this season
Baines and Coleman going crazy, scoring goals and stuff.
And then this season we stopped doing both for whatever reasons, and we just got shut down. So next season we've got to get back to using those wings again and start pulling teams all over the place. So maybe we do that. We'll get back
counter attack.
Yeah, it's but unfortunately I think I don't know. I think expectations are going to be a lot lower next season, not only because of where we are, but because of just the league in general. I think that top four, when you think about Manchester United are at the moment the worst team out of the four, and they are already spending money. Arsenal have just won a cup and they'll spend money, and City and Chelsea will spend money no matter what.
It would be nice to win something and win it in a manner like Arsenal did in that match.
That's got to be the number one thing next season, that you treat the cups almost like he treated the Europa League this season. That's got to be the thing next season. We could let's go for that League Cup, because if you go and win that League Cup, not only have you broken by then, which would be a 21-year hoodoo, but
20 and a half.
You've won a trophy, and you've already got yourself into Europe. So you've already
you've completely forgotten about the MLS All-Star game trophy.
And Everton versus Everton Chile, and
yes,
that Tim Pot,
the Chile Bowl.
Yeah, and that what's it called? The Jimbo Coin Australian trophy as well. That one as well. There's just all those great trophies.
And we could have won the International Champions Cup if it wasn't for the fact that they changed the rules.
Every 5 minutes, changing the rules for us. But no, the League Cup for me has got to be the number one trophy next season, because it's the first trophy. It's the first trophy, and we've got to start taking it seriously. This season, it was basically a glorified pre-season fitness match. This season coming up, it's got to be the number one priority, because it is the number one trophy. It's the thing you go for first. You can get through. You can be in the semi-finals before you know it, before you've played anyone. And you've got to remember that if the aim is to win a trophy and get Europa League place, you can get it done by the first week in February, basically, or whatever it is. So
we won't have to worry about playing Tranmere and that.
Stick the knife in there. So that's got to be the number one priority next season, as far as I'm concerned. The number one priority has got to be the League Cup. Got to take it seriously. Got to play the first team. Stop messing about and go for it, because we deserve trophies. It's going to be interesting. Going to be a very interesting summer. There's going to be lots of
chitter chatter,
and also, people are going to start scrutinising the board a lot more now, because the situation regarding the stadium is just become so murky.
So Walton Hall is not happening.
We don't know, because what we've been told is it's happening, but there's no money.
Oh.
So it's basically I've decided I'm moving into a mansion, but I haven't actually got any money to pay for it yet. So when when this fella comes along and gives me some money,
then you'll buy a mansion.
Yeah, or when I win the lottery. Basically, my plan is to win the lottery, and I've already got a house picked out where I'm going to move to. So from my end, my plan's sorted at my end.
Did you know that sponsorships for the podcast next year are for sale? And as soon as that happens,
I can move.
You can buy the mansion.
But that's basically my plan. My plan is.
But we're very picky in who sponsors the show.
Okay.
It's got to be someone like Abscess Services Limited or Soccer Bus.
A major conglomerate.
Yes. They have
to
have the best interests of the show at heart.
Yeah. What we're actually going to do is probably knock back a lot of the bigger companies that are going to give us a lot more money and attention and are more nationally known, and we're just probably going to go with a sponsor that we know and we like, and if it's got elephants on its logo, then we feel comfortable with that. And it also means that if it's got elephants on, then we don't have to worry about changing like any of our like training gear, or you know what I mean. It's like it's basic. What we're doing is we're looking after our own. What we're saying is, well, we don't have to worry about you.
We don't
If you bought a Folotonians training top 3 years ago and it had our sponsor on, then you don't really have to worry about looking like a tit going out. You can just be like, well, it's got the same sponsor on, so what's the problem? It's got
because those people
we're
wearing
looking
the
after
shirts
you.
with Taka on it are just absolute.
We are looking after you by not getting a bigger and
NEC.
better.
Who wears a shirt with NEC on it? Seriously.
But basically, we're looking after you by keeping the old Folotonian sponsor.
I don't want to cause more work for other people by having to change stuff.
See, some guy would be, and then because what would happen if we were to change our sponsor and suddenly you felt like an idiot, Eric, wearing an old T-shirt with the Folotonian sponsor, you'd have to go and then buy.
My T-shirt is our old logo. I mean, that is our old logo behind me right here. That's our old logo.
But Eric, that would mean that you would have to go and buy a
new flag
T-shirt from this other company, and that would almost mean like you were going to give me two lots of money, and I don't want that. I just want nice things for you, Eric.
Thank you, Ped.
I don't want more money off you. And also, there's only 2 stores in the world that sell our flag.
Yeah.
And both of them are very far away from you. Otherwise, you have to get it online, and the shipping's very expensive, and you don't know if it's going to come with the right name printed on it. And if it does, then you have to go through the rigmarole.
Or even spelled correctly.
Or even spell correctly, or might say Eto.
Have the apostrophe in the wrong spot.
Exactly. So by keeping our old sponsor, this is really, really stupid. Keeping our old sponsor, we are just basically looking after you, Eric. So
thank you. I appreciate it, Ped. Anything else for the season you would like to add before I tell us to be quiet for the rest of the season?
I would just say it's been crap. There have been little moments, little pockets.
Nice talking to you, Ped.
And
you're talking about the season. I thought you were talking about the podcast.
Not that I've spoke to you for 8 weeks.
Right.
We hope to be back on a timescale on a consistent level next season, because hopefully by sometime around August, Eric may have finished his bathroom.
Maybe so.
Literally, this is why we don't have podcast every week, because Eric's doing his bathroom. I kid you not.
If you
want to, yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to keep up to date with his bathroom, go on Facebook, because every time he grouts something, he puts a picture up of it on Facebook. So I'm about to go out
something right now, Ped. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, Trevor Jordash there getting his new patio put down. You don't know that's a joke from Liverpool. Yeah, you haven't got a cellar as well, have you?
Huh?
You haven't, nothing. It's okay.
I got a fridge down here with beer in it.
Secret cellar, that's all.
Yeah. Putting the last brick in soon.
Did I just hear a scream?
No.
Okay.
No. It's all in your own head, Ped. So tell your head to be quiet. We'll talk to you later. Come on, you Blues, let's go.
And try and stay up.
We're good, and we're still on. And bye, YouTube. Bye.